There's a lot of anecdotal advice around on improving your marriage. But if you want something you can really use that will actually make a difference and reignite your marriage, check out the link in the description below.
The question, what tips would you give a newlywed couple? Answer by Cindy Perlman Fink. Have a little surprise waiting for your new spouse when they get home. You don't have to do this every day, but try for one day during the week. If that's not possible, try for one a month. Change the day so not only do they get the surprise, but they also get the surprise of not knowing when it will arrive. A friend of mine worked across the street from a thrift shop. He'd stop in after work and pick up something he thought would make his wife happy. She only wore silver, so one day he'd pick out a pair of silver earrings for her. They weren't expensive, in fact quite the opposite. She was always pleased with whatever he chose, but she was more excited that this man, to whom she was married, loved her enough to think about doing this. Flowers are always appreciated. Depending on your budget, have them delivered. Receiving a bouquet at the office is thrilling. In front of everyone there, she gets her flowers, and all her colleagues see her happiness. They feel happy too. There's an immutable rule in the universe. On birthdays, anniversaries, and other occasions invented by Hallmark, Secretary's Day comes to mind. It's lovely to receive a card or a small bouquet of flowers. Just because day always eclipses any other occasion. My doorbell rang, and a delivery man was standing there with the most beautiful arrangement of flowers I'd ever seen. The card read, "I love you more than I ever thought W as possible." There was nothing special about the day. It was a just because day. I cry over Budweiser commercials, you know, the ones with the horses, the man, the puppy and their reunion. I needed a box of Kleenex for these. Spend a lot of time together, and not just in bed. Go out to dinner, go hiking, walk the dog and go on other adventures you share. Then you have my permission to go back to bed. This answer is a long way of saying that you need to start designing the life that you want to have together. Keep your relationship new and fresh. Show how much you love each other. Just be there. By the way, the flowers came in March. Our anniversary is in October. When the flowers arrived, we'd already been married for 44 years. If you do it right, you might get just because flowers too. Many years ago when we were newlyweds, we had one of those weekends. I sent a huge bouquet of flowers to his office. Everyone wanted to know why. The card read, "For service, above and beyond the call of duty." Answer by Elizabeth Quattro. To the wife, don't fall into the trap of having to be the strong one. Do you love your husband? You long to take care of him. You long to help him be his very best. Maybe you feel bad for the long hours he needs to work. Maybe he has horrible coworkers. Maybe he has earlier hours than you. Maybe he struggles with insomnia. Or maybe you just want to spoil him. So, at first, you begin to sacrifice yourself. That's good. Love, by nature, involves some sacrifice. You wake up early to fix him breakfast. You're the one who jumps up to comfort the baby at 2 a.m. so he can enjoy uninterrupted sleep. You assure him you are perfectly content doing dishes while he puts his feet up in the living room at the end of a long day. Behind the scenes on that particular day, you drink extra coffee. You cut your own sleep a little short. You fondly peek in from the kitchen and breathe a deep sigh of satisfaction as you see your hero getting well-earned relaxation. He is your man, and you delight in spoiling him. It is wonderful. Then comes a day when your hormones are, quite literally, draining you. The baby didn't nap all day. Dinner burned while you were keeping your toddler from electrocuting himself out of curiosity. But you are strong. You're tough. You know how to sacrifice. So you sacrifice. He notices. He appreciates. Or, maybe he doesn't. Either way, you sink into bed with the sweet satisfaction that comes from giving of yourself for someone else's benefit. Yet hiding in the darkness just around the corner is the monster of resentment. And suddenly, 3 short years into marriage, you are angry. You are stronger. Tougher. What made you cry a year ago seems absurd now. You toss a gourmet dinner together, juggling a child on each hip. You look at the tired man you sent to the couch to get in some relaxation, and your thoughts scream words you wouldn't say. I never get a break. This isn't fair. Why do you get to relax? You are so lazy. Yet it is you who have created the monster. Your sweet, thoughtful, wonderful sacrificing began well. Your insistence on being strong no matter what backfired. And now you are tired. Angry. Resentful. Your pride is too strong to admit you need help. He's the baby, you're the hero, and you will do or die trying. He wonders why you're angry. He catches a vague glimpse of the problem and feels so lost. When he sacrifices himself to help you, you feel like a failure and cry at him. When he rests like you told him to, he catches you sobbing in dark rooms. How can you fix this? Remember that marriage is about giving. Sometimes there's a season where one or the other is stronger. Sometimes the wife does need to be the strong one. Sometimes she will be extra weak. And that's okay. Be weak. Be vulnerable. Ask for help. Men aren't always great at picking up clues. How can you prevent this? Keep your sacrifices necessary. Let him sleep in when he's had the worst week ever. But when he's exhausted from the day in day out and your children have been up for hours in the night coughing, write a note telling him how much you love him. Stick it on the kitchen counter by his breakfast cereal. And sleep in. There's a Bible verse that illustrates this beautifully. Better is a dry morsel, and quietness therewith, than an house full of sacrifices with strife. Proverbs 17:1. Cold cereal with a sweet hot love note wins over hot waffles and cold shoulders any day. Sacrifice. But let him be the hero too. Answer by Ryan Bourne. In this article I will give some tips for newlywed couple. If you want to know more about it, check this article. Give each other wonderful moments. Keep feeding your love all the time. Especially plan for general positive impressions. You two must have time that you give only to each other, not to work or children. And at this time you should not in any case talk about business and cares, but wholly give them to your beloved. Share positive emotions. Test them together. Very good. If you can afford to travel alone, without children, or at least walk with your half to the restaurant, taking care of some surprise there. But also to run along the autumn leaves in the park or arrange a night out to the neighboring pub is also not bad. Important. The movie does not fit, because when you watch a movie you do not communicate and do not exchange emotions, so in a sense of making love, this is wasted time. Do not give up your interests. Scientists from Kansas University, studying the secrets of a happy marriage, found that in solid happy couples people certainly have their own part of life, separate from the family, and this is not work. Spouses in strong families do not sacrifice their hobbies or long-standing habits for the sake of family and children. The zone of freedom can be anything, from Saturday football to custom gather with friends for coffee once a week. From the organ concerts to the bath with friends. The presence of such a known zone allows you to reset the accumulated stress and get a breath of freedom, increasing the sense of joy of life. Give your loved ones personal space. From the same research it follows that one must not underestimate the need for personal space. Each member of the family in the house should have a corner, a den, where you can stay alone. Psychologists say that men are particularly keen in seclusion. Of course, in our small apartments it is not always easy to realize, but to understand this need and create each other the opportunity to be alone should not care. In the end, this can be achieved artificially, a shift in the weekend, or an agreement between the spouses that every week on Wednesdays, she takes the children to the cinema, and on Fridays he takes them to visit his grandmother. But daily loneliness zones are also needed. Place for family communication. In our conditions, this place is most often a kitchen, and it's not surprising. Food makes us feel our security. This is the basic need of our psyche, which is formed in early childhood, when the child simultaneously receives mother's milk and its protection. It is very important not to destroy this connection and not to fight for supper or breakfast to fights and quarrels, but to spend time at a meal in pleasant communication. It is possible and necessary to discuss news, share impressions, joke and make plans for the future. But this does not mean that communication must necessarily be easy. Serious questions are also better discussed at dinner, especially if one of the members of the family is in a difficult situation. In this case, the moral support of the family gives him strength and provides psychological protection. Sometimes it is important to just pity and caress someone who needs it. If you cannot help effectively, it calms, gives an energy resource and signals your love and acceptance. Listen and draw conclusions. It is extremely important to learn how to listen to your partner. But not only listen, but also be sure to hear, and draw conclusions, and enter into a dialogue. Treat the words of your second half with such attention, with what would you like, that he, or she, listen to you. If one of the spouses is experiencing its own internal crisis, the second must necessarily know about it in time and help. How many family crises, how many problems could be avoided if we always listened attentively to each other?